it's Val Klein and welcome back to the movie of the week. And the movie this week was Vanilla Sky from 2001, so if you haven't watched it, watch it now. And we actually did last week is Open Your Eyes from 1997, and we're comparing the two. So if you haven't watched that movie and watched that video, do that first and then watch Vanilla Sky and watch this video. If you're new to movie of the week, we're doing like franchises and reboots and remakes in 2024, which makes sense why we did Open Your Eyes and now Vanilla Sky. So let's get into it. So I took notes, I just had to. And I actually love I love comparing movies, like remakes, and like finding differences and like everything. Like I don't know why, I just think it's like also very interesting as someone who studied film, like what they kept, what they took out, what they slightly altered. Like it's interesting. And I think there's also something interesting about this because, you know, it was only 4 years later, and you know, it was Spanish versus the English version. Like, you know, comparing like Mean Girls, you know, that's 20 years later. It's a little bit different. It's like now a musical, but which we might do, I don't want to spoil it, but this is like very soon after, and I don't know, I just love comparing things. So let's just get into it. So this was NYC and not Madrid. I think it was NYC, right? It was kind of weird because they were driving cars, which like in NYC, you don't, I keep saying NYC, in the city, I don't know, whatever. You don't really drive the cars. Like people don't, not that many people drive cars, but like it's a big part of the original movie, so they need to drive cars. And so NYC is like, New York City, I should say, is like, I don't know, the right place to do it. So yeah, I was talking about in Open Your Eyes that he was like in his early 20s. This is Tom Cruise. He's in his late 30s. And it's crazy. Tom Cruise was a producer in this movie too. So I bet you like they were originally going to have it be someone in their 20s, and then Tom Cruise was hired and they were like, okay, we need to rewrite the script. Like I'm sure Tom Cruise got involved and was like, let's change some things, like having my character be older and having him work at this company that once was his dad. So it has this other element that Open Your Eyes didn't have, where he was like technically working, not really working, and it was once his face was changed, whatever, like that kind of went out the door. But I think they added another element, is that the people wanted him out of work. They didn't want him to be there. They wanted to vote him out. You know, he just kind of got it, I guess, because of his dad in a way. But I think it's, you know, because he's older, you had to add this like work element that I guess, you know, kind of went away. It didn't matter once everything else happened. I love how they did keep a lot of the same things in this movie. Like the movie starts out where he's driving around and no one's around, and he gets the, I think, Times Square, and he's like, where is everyone? Like I love how they kept those things the same. I felt like they also kept a lot of like the mood and the tone and a lot of like the same vibes, because I feel like that's something that's very artistic, and you know, you can really see in different movies about like, I don't know, the filmmaker and the cinematography and like the coloring and just like the mood of how things go. And I really like they kept that touch through this movie. Something I really noticed about this movie was the difference on how they treated the woman. And I noticed it right away because Cameron Diaz is kind of that other woman character. I forget the name in this movie, but I forgot the name of the other movie. But I feel like he was treating her so much better than the guy treated the other woman. Open Your Eyes. Like he was, it was like, yeah, like they're kind of seeing each other hooking up, but he still like kind of cares for her and is like, yeah, you can stay if you want. Like he was just so much nicer to her, which we're going to talk a little bit more about the treatment of women a little later. There's a friend and they're going to racquetball, and it's something that they added in this movie is while they're driving, they almost get into a car accident. And it's something where that wasn't in the first movie, and I think they added that, you know, as like a foreshadow, because that happens a lot in American cinema. They do foreshadows, even though the foreshadowing was like 20 minutes later or whatever in the movie. It's not like the end of the movie, but it was another added element. But then they didn't show them at racquetball. They showed them like at work. Like they wanted to show him at work, so they got rid of that element. But then his friend also kind of talked about Cameron Diaz, like not as bad as the other friend talked about the girl in Open Your Eyes, but still kind of bad. And Tom Cruise was kind of like more like trying to play it off like much better than the other guy. And I think Tom Cruise, maybe the reason the women are treated better in this movie because he wanted to look more like a gentleman and like he's not treating these women that bad. I think maybe that's what it is. In the end, it's like the other friend said the thing to Cameron Diaz. Like I love just saying the actor's name, not the characters' names, because I don't know the characters' names, I'm sorry. So something else that I found was so different that I needed to point out. So, you know, he's talking to the psychiatrist like throughout the movie, which is kind of, you know, consistent. And also Michael Shannon is the cop and he's just there. Like, that was so random. But it was so different was how he was acting. Because in Open Your Eyes, when, especially in the first scene with the psychiatrist, he's like huddled in the corner, he's like crying, he's like traumatized. You're like, why is he acting this way? With with Tom Cruise, he's like sitting on top of the table, he's seen some more comment, he's like, I didn't kill anyone. Like, it's a totally different attitude. And I thought that was like so interesting that they decided to do that. Like, maybe again it's another Tom Cruise thing. Like, Tom Cruise didn't want to act like he's, you know, treats women bad. Maybe Tom Cruise didn't want to act like he's weak, because kind of like huddling in the corner and being traumatized, like that's, you know, it is seen a little bit more weak. But I just like, it's such a totally different attitude, and it's also like he's a little bit more confident, like he's sitting on top of the table. So it's kind of like a little bit weird, and like, I don't know, like it just seems a little off. Like, why is he, you know, he doesn't have to be as traumatized as in the Spanish language version. But like, it's weird that he's like confident in this. You're just like, okay. Something that was the same in this movie is Penelope Cruz played Sophia. Okay, that's a character, remember? And obviously she played Sophia in the other version. And so it's kind of crazy that they kept that. Like, I don't know what the decision was. I don't know if they were like, she's so great as the part in Open Your Eyes, let's keep her for this. Like, I don't know exactly how that all went down. Like, I wish I could say, but I mean, it's kind of amazing and great that she was the same character. I feel like that's beautiful. It's some poetry about it. And it's kind of interesting too, to like, because she's literally the same person, like compare the, like slightly the things that she did different. Like, it's kind of interesting. Of course, they had to have Sophia and the friend meet in the library, not the university, because they're supposed to be older. Also, she was like a dancer, not an actor. I don't know. Anyway, it seems like Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz are fine at the party. He just like didn't invite her, whatever. And then he like pretends she's a crazy stalker to Sophia when she literally was just like, hi, like whatever. And so it's like so different than the other version, because she was like a little bit like a crazy stalker in the other version. And he was trying to get away from her. But like, so it's like, just again, like he just wanted the women to be written better. Like, I don't know. Friend was drunk in the same way as the other one, which felt a little bit like The Room. If you ever watched The Room, I mean, if you're watching this video, hopefully you watched The Room, because I already did that for movie of the week, especially this year. It felt a little bit like The Room, and also felt weird because they're like supposed to be older. Like, why are they acting like drunk like this? You know, whatever. Anyway, he goes back to Sophia's place, and she has a dog and not a cat in this. Kind of interesting, kind of a little bit different, but maybe it's because dogs are more American than cats, which is like something weird to say, but it just kind of is. They kept the line about like, oh, like selling the painting for one kiss, and like that's actually like such a great line from the original movie, so I'm glad they kept that. But then of course Cameron Diaz's character is like there with the car, and she's definitely like less crazy than the other one, and like took like barely any convincing for him to like get in the car. And then when they're driving, she's like saying what his friend said to him, and like how she loves him, and she just seems like really sad, like in love with him, and that's why she like goes to kill him or kill them, when in the other version she was just like really crazy and jealous and whatever. So it's totally different, very different. I wrote a note, why is it called Vanilla Sky, and actually looked it up, and it was like, because the painting at one point that him and Sophia are looking at, like there's something, I think it might have been a Van Gogh painting, don't quote me, there's something about like Vanilla Sky in it. Still feels a little bit weird that it's called Vanilla Sky. Why can't it be called Open Your Eyes? I don't know, maybe they just want a different title to distinguish the two. This one, he doesn't just have the face broken, he also has the arm. broken, which kind of, I guess, makes sense because it was such a big crash. But it kind of like, he's like, I don't care about my arm, I care about my face. Also, something different in this is that Sophie actually doesn't care about his face and just wanted to see him. Super different. She was kind of like, in the other version, she was kind of like nervous to be around him and kind of afraid, and was like, didn't go after to see him. But in this one, she said like, oh, I wanted to see you, and he was like, I didn't want you to see me, that's why I said no. So it's totally different, and we're gonna uncover that. He also got really drunk at the club, got his face fixed, and what was the ended up being the dream state, and then him and Sophia only got together once his face was fixed. So the same thing happened where he wakes up in bed and then thinks it's, you know, Cameron Diaz's character, and then the same thing happens where then he's sleeping with her and then it's Cameron Diaz's character, and so then when he kills her, there's a lot more editing involved with like you know, different things, and so they made it a little bit more chaotic, more crazier, and definitely like more upbeat, like this is the moment he kills her. I think they, you know, it's because it's more of an American style way of editing and way of filmmaking. Tilda Swinton is in this. So they made him have this like fear of heights on this movie as well, which wasn't in the last movie, and I think they just wanted this other element, you know, to add to him like jumping off the roof at the end. Also, the ending was really different because the police was not shooting after him, and so Kurt Russell, who was the psychiatrist, again, actors' names. In the other one, it was like the psychiatrist was like crying the entire like, this is like real, this is real. Like the psychiatrist didn't come up until the other guy said the thing about like you can make him come, and so it was like, it felt like made more sense, because the other one you're like, why is he still crying? Like, calm down, this is clearly a dream. And this one, it felt like, okay, yeah, he's coming back because it's a dream, like it all makes sense. And also, like, they talked about how the other characters were affected when he died. So watching the Open Your Eyes Spanish version, it didn't necessarily feel like the women were written badly, but clearly compared to this, the women were. But you know, I love, you know, I'm very critical when things, you know, write women badly or write them negatively, or, you know, totally get women wrong. So, you know, it's kind of crazy I didn't really catch up on that, but maybe when you compare the two, like, you notice it. But as again, I am very critical of those things when women are written like the enemies, bad people. So you're wondering why I'm not jumping with joy at this version. Because I don't think the women were written better for the benefit of women. I think the women were written better for the benefit of Tom Cruise. I think they were written better so it looked like he was more of a gentleman. You know, he was a nicer guy. The things he was doing also was better. And it just like, I think added to his ego. And like the same thing with the psychiatrist, you know, you can't show Tom Cruise weak. He's got to be a strong man that everyone wants. And that's why also in the dream, like, she only kissed him when his face was fixed. So it's kind of, but then she was like okay with him before the face was fixed, when that was like not in the original. I think this movie was for the benefit of Tom. And I kind of was like with the Open Your Eyes, I was like, what is the point of this movie? Like, I think the message to say is like, you know, if you're, you know, rich and you're beautiful and you have popularity, don't make bad choices because karma kind of. But, you know, I feel like, you know, people were saying in Letterboxd, like, the execution wasn't there. Maybe that's why it's hard to, like, really be like, yeah, this is the message and it's clear. This movie, I feel like it's a little bit more clear that this is the message. It's like, don't make these bad choices. But it does also feel like he didn't in the end make too many bad choices, because he was, like, seeing that girl and, like, she wasn't too crazy, and it was just, like, whatever, and it was like he got what he wanted in the end, except Sophia, because he was technically dead. This was something Tom just wanted to do. He was like, the Spanish film is a good idea, I should play that part. I don't know, but let's change up some things so I don't look like such a bad person, because, you know, rating these women as better people then makes him look better. But it's like, you know, they also all, I think that's also something that's important in the Spanish language version, is that they all made bad choices as well. Like the other characters made bad choices as well. But in this one, like, and that's kind of a part of life, is like people sometimes do make bad choices. You don't get that same message here. It's just, I don't know, I feel like the tone also doesn't fit really with New York City, and I was based in New York City. The tone fit more as a Spanish language film. So if you're just watching this movie, you're like, okay, it feels a little bit off because it's not a New York City movie. I think this video is long, so I'm gonna end it here. But you know, I love comparing and contrasting, and hopefully Tom Cruise don't hate on me for the things I said about him in this video. But thank you guys for watching, and we're going to do, guess what, some James Bond movies next. We're gonna start with Dr. No from 1962, the first James Bond movie. So, you know, comment your thoughts below about Vanilla Sky and open your eyes and watch Dr. No for next week. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and bye.